I am recording the video and today's topic is what is validation control in ASP.NET. Define a validation control in ASP.NET. The validation controls is used to implement page level validity of data entered in the server controls. This check is done before the page is posted back to the server, thus avoid a round trip to the server. If the data does not pass validation, it will display an error message to the user. It is an important part of any web application. There are two types of validation: client side and server side. Validation controls are mostly used for implementing presentation logic to validate user input data, data format, data type, and data range. Client side validation is good, but we have to be dependent on the browser and scripting language support. Server validation will work always whether client validation is executed or not. Following are the 6 types of validation control. First, required field validation control. It makes an input control a required field. Compare validator control. It compares the value of one input control to the value of another input control or to a fixed value. Range validator control. It checks that the user enters a value that falls between two values. Regular expression validator control. It ensures that the value of input control matches a specific pattern. Custom validator control. It allows you to write a method to handle the validation of the value entered. Validation summary. It displays a report of all validation errors occurred in the web page. What are the validation types supported by ASP.NET? Following are the validation types in ASP.NET. The required field validator control forces the input control a required field. The compare validator control is used to compare values of the two input fields. The custom validator control allows you to write a method to handle the validation of the value entered. The range validator control is used to check that the user enters an input value that falls between two values. It is possible to check a range within a number, dates, and characters. The regular expression validator control ensures an input value matches a specific pattern. The validation summary control is used to display a summary of all validation errors occurred in a web page. Describe the step to use validation control. Draw a validation control on a web form. Set the control validate property to the control you want to validate. Specify the control to compare property with compare validator control. Specify error message to the validation controls error message property. Specify error message to the validation controls text property if you want to display a message other than the message in the error message property. Draw a validation summary control on the web form to display the error message from the validation control in one place. Types of validation controls are provided by ASP.NET. How many types of validation control are provided by ASP.NET? 5 types of validation control exist. Require field validator to enforce a user to fill particular field before submitting the form. This is done when the field is mandatory input, for example, username and password. The range validator to validate the specific input fits within a range of lower and upper limits. Compare validator. This is to compare the user input against other existing value. Regular expression validator. This is to ensure that the user input is as per the expected pattern, for example phone number, emails. Custom validator. Custom validator allows developers to create their own validator based on their logics. This could be a mix of other validator. Another topic is state management in ASP.NET. State management is implemented in order to retain information about the user request. Web pages are stateless. Each request creates a new page without retaining any previous information about the user's request. ASP.NET supports several state management techniques to maintain state information. State management in ASP.NET can be classified into client-side state management and server-side state management. Define a client-side state management and server-side state management. Client-side state management. This maintain information on the client's machine using cookies, views, states, and query string. A cookies is a small text file on the client machine, either in the client's file system or memory client browser session. Cookies are not good for sensitive data. Moreover, cookies can be disabled on the browser. Thus, you cannot rely on cookies for state management. View state. Each page and each controls on the page has view state property. This property allows automatic retention of page and controls state between each trip to server. Query string. Query string can maintain limited state information. Data can be passed from one page to another page with the URL, but you can send limited size of data with the URL. Server-side state management. Application state. The data stored in an application object can be shared by all sessions of the application. The application object stores data in the key value pair. Session state. Session state stores session specific information, and the information is visible within the session only. ASP.NET creates a unique session hold for each session of the application. Session ID are maintained either by an HTTP cookies or a modified URL is set in the application configuration setting. By default, session ID value are stored in cookies. Database can be used to store large state information. Database supported in is used in the combination within the cookies or session state. Thank you.